Is it a good idea to sell your house? That's the topic for today's episode, and without further ado, let's dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. If this is the first time you're tuning in, this is your channel for real estate education. So today's video was actually the product of multiple comments that I've received over time in the channel of people actually asking me whether it's a better idea to sell their properties or just simply do a cash out refi or a HELOC out of it. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, I'm gonna leave a link to multiple episodes where I talk about cash out refi and HELOCs, but in the meantime, bear with me for a second. So back to the subject of selling your property. Let's just go into the board so I can walk you through the entire rationale of it. So first concept I want you to learn is the concept of capital gains, right? And basically what capital gains stand for. So let's assume you have a property, right? You bought a property not so long ago, let's say 2-3 years ago, for like $100,000, right? And then you held it for a couple of years. Maybe you did some renovations to it, you make it pretty, and now the value went up. And instead of being worth $100,000, now the new value of that property is $150,000. So the difference between 150 to 100 is $50,000, and that in essence is what is your capital gains. And those $50,000 will become your capital gains if you choose to sell that property at whatever point in time. Now, you might probably wondering, okay, that's good to know, but what does it have to do with me as a real estate investor, right? Well, that's actually a very good question, and it's very important that you're very well aware of that, because depending on how much money you make in capital gains, Uncle Sam, it's gonna determine how much to tax you off of those gains, right? You heard that. Yes, we're in the US, everything is taxes, and this is no exception. Now, the way Uncle Sam decides to tax you on those capital gains, it's depending on the type of use that you decide to give to that one property, right? So two things that you need to keep in mind. So let's assume that you bought this property and you can have two uses to it, right? One is to use it as your primary home or your primary residence, or to use that as an investment, right? So let's say you decided to rent it out to other people to live in, right? So let's start with the chunk of the home, right? So let's assume you bought that property and you decided to use that as your home. So the way those capital gains are gonna get taxed will depend on how much money you actually made off of the capital gains and how long you've been residing in that property. So let's say, for example, you have resided 2 out of those 5 years in that property, and that your capital gains turned out to be less than $250,000. If you happen to meet this criteria, less than $250,000 in capital gains, and you've lived or resided in that property at least 2 of the total 5 years, then you pay no taxes on those capital gains. But if you were to have a gain of over $250,000, then Uncle Sam is definitely gonna tax you on it. And how much money will you get taxed will depend entirely on your tax bracket. It could go from 0% to 15 to 20%, depending on what your personal tax bracket is. And if you're unsure of what that is, I will leave you a link down here below where you can actually check out the tax brackets. So that's one. Now, let's say you bought that property and you didn't use it as a home. You solely used it as a investment property, right? So if you held this property for over 1 year, right? In essence, what's gonna happen is if you decide to sell it after 1 year, will be 15% of capital gains. Now, you might be wondering, okay, well, that doesn't seem fair because I'm the one who's been working, I'm the one paying for that mortgage, I'm the one making sure that everything is running properly. Is there a way to either get a tax reduction or, I don't know, some kind of legal way to avoid taxes out of it, right? So I have good news for you. You won't be able to avoid paying taxes. What you can do is that you can actually defer taxes until further notice with what it's called a 1031 exchange. And if you don't know what a 1031 exchange, it's in essence what I just said. You will have the opportunity to not pay taxes on any capital gains today. What you will do, what Uncle Sam is allowing you to do, is defer the need to pay those taxes until whatever future time you have planned. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, you name it, right? And the way a 1031 exchange is gonna work is, well, first things first, you need to hire an experienced accountant that actually has experience working with 1031 exchanges. And then two, if you're planning to invest in another property with that money and you're looking to have a mortgage, then you should definitely let the lender know that you're looking to do a 1031 exchange. And the time frame for a 1031 exchange, it's in essence 180 days, right? So you have 0 days, 180 days. And along those 180 days, you have exactly 45 days to identify a new property or a potential property that is going to replace that. Now, let me tell you that the property that you're going to find as a replacement cannot be any property. It has to be a property of either equal value to 150, or it has to be of higher value. This is why they say that the rich keep getting richer, because the IRS just doesn't let you go backwards. It only pushes you to go forward. So if you're planning to sell your property and you're looking to defer your taxes until further notice, then you can definitely leverage a 1031 exchange, right? Save money on some of those taxes today and just simply keep deferring it over time, and you will get the benefit of continuous growth of your real estate portfolio. Like what you're listening so far, make sure you hit the like button right here, right over here, so that way you can help the channel rank and help other people seeking for the same type of information. So now back into this. If you want to find out more about 1031 exchanges, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to leave you a link down here below in the description, so that way you can actually read a little bit more directly from the IRS and see how you can actually apply this concept to your portfolio, and also use the same information to interview your accounting team or an accountant, because you want to make sure that whoever you're hiring, whoever you're adding to your power team, is in fact someone who's competent, someone who's actually educated in the subject. Now, while I have you here, I want to let you know that I have been reading a lot of your messages. A lot of you have been requesting or sending me emails asking me about the right way to get started with real estate investing. What's the proper way to just invest in real estate here in the US? So what I decided to do was to create a seminar online, and it's free of charge for you. In that seminar, you're going to learn about the exact 10 steps that I follow when I started in real estate investing, and also use the same tips to continue to grow my real estate portfolio exponentially. All I need you to do is to save at least 2 hours of your busy day, and then make sure you click on the link down in the description below so you can sign up and you can reserve your spot so you can attend the seminar itself. And while you are in the seminar, make sure you have a notebook and working pen. I've gotten messages from a lot of people where they say that they didn't think they're going to learn a lot in the seminar, and then they realize that in fact they did learn a lot and they didn't have a working pen. So make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Make sure that it's not you. And once again, the link is down here below. And that's it. That's all I have to share with you today. Hopefully you find today's video valuable. And until then, I will talk to you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.